So has anybody else noticed that the concept of the miraculous love square has well and truly fallen out of favour recently? Like when the show first launched, the whole concept rapidly started to gain popularity. The idea that Adrian's in love with Ladybug and tries to woo her as his hero alter ego Cat Noir, but always ends up getting rejected because Ladybug's civilian alter ego Marinette has feelings for Adrian, and to her, Cat Noir comes off second place. Like, I can be pretty critical of the show and the quality of the writing at times, and indeed, the first couple of seasons on reflection are not really all that complex, and nothing much really happens. Outside of a handful of really good episodes, it's mostly just a monster of the week type deal. But despite that, they managed to interweave a pretty intriguing and exciting concept throughout the first couple of seasons. A dynamic between the characters that was at times funny, cringy but in a good way, and also just a teensy bit sad, like, come on, what's that song called? Last Dance? Damn! Unexpectedly hitting you in the feels with that one. Absolute banger, a classic. But yeah, despite issues with the pacing and the quality of the writing, and just a lot of the show in general, the concept of the love square became huge. And do I ever mean huge? It was everywhere in the Artworks fanfics. People would choose their favourite variant on the ship, their favourite corner of the square, and they'd ship it to no end. Ship it so hard. We're talking Marichat. We're talking Adrianette, Lady Noir, and, Ladrian? Is that what that one's called? Yeah. Honestly, of the bunch, that one's probably the least popular, but in its defense, it's hard to compete with the other ones. They were just immense. And yeah, those late 2010s, right into the 2021, 2022 type of era, that was peak Love Square. Hell yeah. The fandom was on a whole different level back then. There was so much hype, so much excitement, so much speculation. Will any of the ships sail? Obviously, the end game is going to be Adrianette, but before that, are they going to have fun with some of the combinations? A trial run, so to speak? And the writers themselves, they definitely had fun with it too. They were teasing the concept over and over. Episodes where Marinette would go insane trying to woo Adrian were commonplace, as were episodes where we see Cat Noir doing the same to Ladybug. But they were the two most prominent ones. It's just the way things were. And they were deeply popular. Don't get it twisted. And the fandom came alive for those moments. Especially when the other characters started to reciprocate or had a moment with them too. Remember the hype of the dancing scene from the New York special? Big moment. But I gotta say, nothing would beat the hype in the fandom on social media or wherever you were watching it when there'd be the rare Marichat type of moment. For some reason, that was by far the most exciting pairing for many people. Personally, I think it's because there was the idea of it being a little bit unique, in that neither of the two had any feelings for each other. They liked Ladybug or Adrian respectively, not the alter ego. So they were more real with each other, and the chemistry because of that was off the charts. Like seriously, off the charts. Compare that to Ladrian. Ugh. Yeah, it was fun to see them both get flustered and thirsty about one another at the same time, and yet somehow not figure out that they were both keen, but it just doesn't have that same draw. Or didn't have the same draw, because as I said earlier, I kind of think that the popularity of the Love Square, it's fizzled out, it's burned out, it's completely gone. And thus, where the concept used to be among the most popular and exciting things in the show, which was hotly anticipated by the fandom by and large, now it seems like nobody really even cares at all. Been there, done that. And that's kind of sad. But it would be fine, right? Like, obviously it couldn't go on forever and ever. That's just the nature of this sort of stuff. Once it's done with, it's done with. And with Adrianette setting sail eventually, you can't walk it back. It's over with, it's gone, goodbye, the end. And that's one thing, right? You can acknowledge that. But I think it's more than in hindsight, it could have been handled in a different way that didn't kill off the show's hype so much. Because I think it kind of has killed off a lot of the show's hype. In my eyes, it was the most popular draw. The interplay between the characters. Our two mains, but the different versions. And so I think that each permeation really needed its own chance to shine in the spotlight, or at least some of the permeations. But instead, we got a sort of half-baked attempt at Marichat, which fizzled in like an episode, which was lame as hell. That's like such an exciting one and they kill it. Ugh. And then we had some reverse pining with Ladybug and Cat Noir before we hit the true endgame pairing. And so yeah, for a story that really built up a ton of momentum and fans using this love square, the way in which it was resolved left a lot to be desired. But how do you fix that? How do you make it so the story works a bit better and the story flows nicely? How do you make it so that fans of all the pairings get their turn, so to speak? And I did ponder this for a little while, and I came up with my own little version of events. Maybe it will suck shit, right? But maybe you'll like it, who knows, we'll see. Okay, so this probably would have required a couple seasons to really get cracking. instead of just turbo rushing everything in the final season, but what do I know? I'm not a showrunner. But yeah, remember how they teased the alternate ships during season 3, sort of pulled the trigger and then flopped at the very start of season 4? Nobody liked that. But it did give me a little bit of inspiration, but we'll have to sacrifice those alternate ships to do so. But then again, were those ships even really that popular? I mean, you could move them forward into season 3 and nobody would even care. So yeah, we push Lucanet and Adragami forward maybe to flame out earlier during season 3. You can still do the Kagami storyline again during season 5, because it did end up being important to the plot in the end, I guess, but whatever. Anyway, I thought the whole Marinette and Luca story kind of fits a more Ladrian-centric viewpoint too, doesn't it? This is the shit where both characters are kind of enthusiastic about it. They both like each other openly. So surely you could just have one of them notice this in their interactions, and then you can finish off season 3 with worldwide superstar model Adrian embarking on a relationship with Ladybug. Whew, that's some hype ending. And then you can cut and paste the storyline with Luca, because it is the least popular ship you want to get it done with. You know, where Luca feels left out because it's clear that Marinette's hiding shit from him and it poisons the well, so to speak. Well, here, just have Adrian act like he does in canon. Feel massively insecure because he wants to know who Ladybug is. And it all goes to shit because she can't tell him who it is. So, much like Luca in regular canon, he eventually gets pity dumped by Ladybug and it's heartbreak all round. And he's a sad boy, she's a sad girl, yada yada. That's some drama. Mwah, yum. And so that's the end for Ladrian. But it gives the fans a bit of a taste for the future. Gives the story a bit of direction in season 4. Because whereas in canon, Marinette goes straight back to simping Adrian, and so it felt like it meant nothing, here, you have your least popular love square corner get a little bit of time to shine, it ends and then the characters grow, and since she just dumped Adrian, she's not going to go back to simping Adrian. So now the outlook on season 4 is way different, and your characters can now grow from this, because now for Adrian and for Ladybug, their first option's no longer available. So what makes sense? What makes sense as a relationship to start to develop now? Well, I think it makes sense for them to pine for the other one. Ladybug should start to be drawn to Cat Noir because he's like her, and Adrian should be drawn to Marinette. But of course, the only permeation that makes sense would be Marichat. And it makes a lot of sense because Marinette would want to be with someone that's like her, and she wouldn't mind that she doesn't know his identity. And meanwhile, Adrian just wants to be with someone a bit more normal. And so you can have that awakening of feelings moment for both of them, I reckon. Do a bit of a pining Marichat arc. And this is the one that has the most chemistry. And as long as you maintain that cool vibe that it has, that really unique flirtatious manner, and you don't send them back into the flustered cringe mode, I think it would have been so super compelling for the back half of season 4. Maybe into season 5 and then have the typical breakup episode. It would be exciting and interesting and hype. What could have been? Because I really think that one episode where they just killed Marichat dead, you know, the one with Andre the Ice Cream Man. Oh, we all hate Andre on this channel. That was just a really lame way to tie things up, and for me, that was the final nail in the coffin. That's when the hype truly died for the love square. Killed the vibes, know what I mean? But yeah, this would be hotly anticipated. The audience, I guarantee, would eat it up, and eventually, when they break up, you can move on to the final permeation, Lady Noir. Because I think it's actually a freaking crime against the script that we never properly got this. I figured always from the start that this is the ship that would set sail, and then they'd both remove Miraculouses and be like, what? It'd be the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. It would be a big bruh moment for both of them. But nope, we skipped that, went straight to Adrianette, and we didn't take full advantage. Oh, you could have built the hype so much. And in the end, I think it hurt the story. Like, this was the most popular element of the show, and I don't believe anything really came close. And then we all saw it die a lame death on screen over the course of the final season, when it could have just been so much better. And it's just a shame. And so yeah, with all that being said, I don't really have much more to say. Just kind of pretty lame the love square went the way of the dodo, and it could have been done better. Yeah, it had to end, but they could have milked it, they could have made it more exciting, and thus had a more interesting story. But yeah, those are just my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the death of the love square? Do you agree that whilst it was inevitable, they could have milked it more to make a better storyline, or am I full of shit? Maybe you think it was perfect as it was. I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.